G'day. Today we're doing a service on a Pulsar 2015 model, Nissan Pulsar, and it's got the CVT transmission in it. It's a RE0F11A. Now these have a dipstick on them, and if you can see it through there, just got a little white ink mark on top of the dipstick. You can see that down there, a little bit hard to see. And what you need to do is just sort of pull this top radiator hose. My arm's a bit wide there, so it's a little bit hard to get to. But what they do is they have a little locking pin there. And there it is there. That's a little cap. I'm just going to do a quick scan on it. The OBD plug's under here in Australia on the right hand side. There it is there. The way to get these plugs out on the transmission is to just poke a screwdriver there. It actually holds on this bit here, and the idea is to just flex it just so you can pull it out. No codes found on the generic scan. It'll just take a little while to go through the scan. So it's got past the transmission scan, there's no faults there. But the owner's complaining of an intermittent shifting problem, like a little bit of a flare between gear changes. So we'll just give a bit of a wire brush around the pan there and a blowout before we take it off. And it's also a good idea to just blow any road dirt off around it, just so it doesn't drop into your work. You know, only a little bit of oil will come out of the drain plug because of the angle of the pan, so just be aware of that, especially if it's hot. Okay, we've got the pan off and you can see all the muck on the magnets there, and why it's important to actually remove the pan, not to just drain the oil out. And on these you can see the oil level tube is on that plug as well, and that's why not a lot of oil comes out of there. Now these filters on these, the snorkel's actually on top of the filter instead of below it. Now these transmissions also have an inline filter in the cooling system. If you have a look, just up here, there's it's a little bit hard to see, but there where my finger is, there's a little cover there, and that's where that filter is located. So make sure you clean that off really well, and you've just got a couple of 10mm bolts, and that cover will just come off, and you can replace that filter cartridge. When you're refitting the new filter, the internal one, just make sure you check that it's got the O-ring there, because the pickup for it's so high, without an O-ring it's going to cause trouble. Got the cover off, and the cartridge just pulls out like that. That's what it looks like. There's a little cover there. When you're putting the inline filter on, make sure you smear a bit of oil on it and that just pushes onto a little tube there. A bit hard to see, but you can see the filter there. And also just put a little bit of oil on the O-ring. You don't want that O-ring to fall out of place. Very hard to see. There you go, you can see it like that. A little canister there. And you've got to actually twist it around. There's a little bracket on top there that just tucks in under that little tang. Now, as per usual, we're going to leave these magnets up on these ridges. So the idea is so the magnet can collect the rubbish top and bottom, more surface area working. And because it's a CVT, we definitely want to add as many filtering devices as we can. So we're going to add a neodymium magnet. And again, I'm going to put it there. And also one other thing is to make sure if you do lift your magnets like that, that you can get the pan back on. And these aren't going to hit a selector or a solenoid or something like that. And over here you can see the oil level height tube there. Now I've got the pan all back on. Important to double check your work, especially if you're not familiar with this kind of work. Make sure you don't forget to tighten something up. To fill it, we take this drain plug out, which isn't really a drain plug because there's always a lot more oil left in there, and we're going to fill it through that filler tube up here until the oil's just coming out of here. And if you can remember, it's got that little fluid level tube in there, so the idea is to have the oil overflowing down through that. Before we start, we're going to leave this plug back in, and we're going to actually overfill it a little bit till we get the oil level right. The CVT oil is quite expensive, so you want to try and not lose any if you can. Now we're just going to fill it through the filler tube down here, and we're going to start off by putting 4 litres in, which is roughly about how much came out. And this will handle the Nissan NS3, which is what's required in those. The fluid level check should be between 35 and 45 degrees. So ideally you want to get it at about the midpoint, which is 40 degrees. And you have the motor running when you check it. It should be just dripping out of that tube. So I've got to warm it up a little bit more. It's on 36 degrees, but to get this to work, to get the live data, you've got to have it on contact, not with the motor running. And then we can start it up. So we could actually check that because it's between 35 and 45 degrees and we're on about 37, so I'm just going to move down and we're just going to check the oil level. All back together. Good idea to clean off any excess oil just so it doesn't trick you into thinking there's an oil leak. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions, leave them in the comments. And thank you for watching.